All right, check, test 1, 2. Okay. All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the City of Des Moines Zoning Board of Adjustment. This board has the power under Iowa law and the zoning ordinance of the City of Des Moines to hear and make decisions on requests for variances and exceptions from the regulations in the zoning ordinance, to review conditional use requests, and to consider any appeals from the decision of city staff in the administration of the zoning ordinance. The members of this board are citizens of the City of Des Moines. They've been appointed to the board by the City Council. The board members are volunteers and receive no compensation for their public service. We're a 7-member board. We have 5 members present today. Those members are on the audience's right, Dave Gare. Next to him is Rhonda Cedillo. On the audience's far left is Heather Ann Rowe. Next to her is Marlis Jones. I'm Mel Pins, the board chair. I'll introduce city staff that will be assisting us today. To my left is the board's legal counsel, Gary Guidelock. City staff that will be helping or presenting today on the rail on the left here of the audience include Frank Dunn-Young, senior city planner, Bert Dross, the deputy planning administrator, and Chris Heilskove, zoning enforcement officer. Michelle Wall is our meeting moderator, assisting with some of our broadcasting and audio video right down here in front of me. Also want to thank her. I'll go over the meeting's procedure. For some of you, this may be your first time in front of us. You may hope it's your only time in front of us, but we will help you through the process. So don't be nervous about what happens when. We'll help you with that. But I will go ahead and read the preamble here that does explain the meeting's procedure. First of all, the Zoning Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board. This hearing will be conducted within the procedures and format as authorized by Iowa law and the city's ordinances. The meeting is open to the public. The meeting is being recorded by both audio and video for a legal record of these proceedings. The board members have each received a copy of the agenda and the staff recommendations. And if you as audience members don't have a copy of the agenda and staff recommendations for your item, we have them here in the trays right by the door as you came in. So if you need to step up and grab one of those, feel free to do so when I'm done with my remarks. The board members have each received that copy of the agenda and staff recommendations. The board is required to base its decision on each item upon the criteria established by law for the type of relief sought by the applicant. The law applicable to each case has been identified in the written staff report. If the facts, as determined by this board, demonstrates that the criteria established by law for granting the relief has been satisfied, then the board must grant the relief. Otherwise, the board must deny the requested relief. Each item will be announced in the order that it appears on the agenda. Items listed on the consent portion of the agenda, which is our first portion of the agenda, are not planned to be individually discussed. Rather, they will be considered for approval in accordance with the recommendations in the staff report, unless the appellant does not agree to the conditions that have been recommended by staff, or if there's an individual of this audience or a member of this board that requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda so that a full discussion on the matter can occur before a decision is made. I'll come back to the consent agenda here just in a minute and help you through that. For our regular portion of the agenda, after an item has been announced, city staff will first give a brief overview of the appeal and present any written comments that have been received prior to the hearing. Then the applicant or their representative will be allowed up to 10 minutes to present their appeal. We'll then move to the public comment portion of the hearing. Anybody that wishes to speak in support of, in opposition to, or even in neutrality of an appeal will be allowed up to 5 minutes each to present their comments. This will be their one and only opportunity to address the board regarding the item at hand. Once all concerned citizens have spoken, the board will then ask any additional questions of city staff. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity for up to 3 minutes for a rebuttal or other closing comments if they so choose. All speakers must only speak from the podium here in the center where Frank is standing right now. You must give your presentation by first writing down your complete name and address. We've got a little sign-in sheet there. And also verbally give us your name and address. That address can be your business or residence as appropriate in the event that you may need to be contacted for legal notices related to the outcome of this appeal. All speakers must remain courteous and focus their comments only upon those facts that demonstrate whether or not the criteria established by law for granting the relief has been satisfied. Speakers are also asked to be respectful of time considerations, and if necessary, the board chair will limit further comments by a speaker if they exceed their time limitation. After all comments on the item have been received, the board chair will then close any further public comment on the agenda item. The board will then immediately deliberate the request and will make a decision here today on the appeal. Please note that it always takes at least 4 affirmative votes for any zoning appeal to gain approval. If your appeal is approved today, we'd ask that you wait until about a week from today if you'd need to contact the city's Permit and Development Center to obtain any necessary building or sign permits that are related to your appeal. This will allow the decision of the board to be documented in the form of a decision and order. That decision and order document will be provided to you and city staff for the record. Any appeal that is approved by this board must be implemented, constructed, or otherwise utilized within 2 years of the date of the board's decision, or such approval shall expire. Finally, the decisions of this board can only be appealed in the Iowa District Court. So if you believe you've been harmed by an error made by this board, your only remedy is to seek relief through the district court within 30 days of the filing of the board's decision and order. If you believe the zoning regulations applied by this board are wrong, you may petition the city council to change those regulations for future considerations. Any material that's written or otherwise used today as part of any presentation is part of the permanent record. If there's anything you want to present today, whether it's pictures, drawings, documents, you can do that. But if you haven't already, you'll need to give proper copies of that to city staff for the record. And if you'd like a copy of anything presented today, just ask city staff after the hearing. Just a few minor housekeeping things. Please avoid any undue conversation in the audience. Silence your cell phone. If you would need to use the restroom during our short hearing today, you can just leave through the doors. You don't have to go back downstairs. There's restrooms past the staircase on your left. We'll have a 5-minute break in the hearing if we need to around 3, but I'm hopeful we will not need to. So we'll go to our agenda, and Frank's going to help us take a peek at that. I believe we have 3 items on the agenda today, but Frank, first of all, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board, Frank Dunn, planning staff. Item 3 has requested to withdraw. So item 3 will not be heard. The applicant has withdrawn their application. It was for the site at 3218 Southwest 9th Street.
Okay, so if item 3 is withdrawn, we will not be hearing it. We won't make any decisions on it, and therefore we won't take any testimony. If it's withdrawn, they would have to file a new application with new notices later. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so if anybody's here for item 3, we won't be hearing that. Any other changes?
Staff is recommending that item number 2 be moved to the consent agenda. The applicant had proposed 5 signs, 2 which were allowed by right at their new store at 4410 Southeast 14th Street. Staff is recommending approval of 1 additional sign over the maximum 2 that they earn, and then their staff is also recommending approval up to 105.75 square feet. And so we are requesting that it gets moved to the consent agenda.
And Frank, if you didn't mention it, unless I missed it, the applicant is agreeable then to staff recommendations?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there anybody here in the audience that would disagree with moving this to consent agenda, which would mean generally we would be approving the signage numbers and size that staff has recommended? Would there be anybody that would be opposed to us granting that approval? If so, just raise your hand and then we will hear this item before we make a decision. There be anybody opposed to granting the requested relief for the signage as Frank has presented it? Just raise your hand. Okay, seeing none. Board members, does anybody want to hear this before we make a decision? If not, would there be a motion to put this on consent? Okay, motion by Marlis. Which one? Oh, okay. All right, motion by Marlis, second by Rhonda. Maybe that's a tradition. All those in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. All right, so motion 5-0 to put item 2 on consent. All right, so what I'm going to do here, as I mentioned, so when we have items on consent, staff is recommending approval of either the exceptions that have been presented subject to staff recommendations, which might have some requirements for the owner to meet. But when it's on consent, we don't plan to hear that item. Staff is asking for us to vote for approval. So I'm going to just poll the audience once again. So item 1 is a zoning exception request related to the City of Des Moines at the Des Moines Airport related to installation of, appears to be some signage. Would there be anybody opposed us granting that request for the zoning exceptions related to signing at the Des Moines Airport? Just raise your hand. All right, seeing none, and just as a courtesy, item 2 that we move to consent, 4410 Southeast 14th, also some minor modifications of signage. Anybody opposed to that? All right, seeing none, then we have items 1 and 2 on consent for exceptions related to signage. Subject to staff recommendation, would there be a motion for approval by the board? There we go. Rhonda? Marlis. All right, motion by Rhonda, second by Marlis. All those in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. All right, so items 1 and 2, those zoning exceptions for signage have been approved. Give us about a week, and you'll get a copy of that decision in order, and then you can finish your signage applications and get going. So I believe those are our 2 hearing items for today. Any other business besides our minutes from last month?
The zoning enforcement officer would like to approach the board and has some updates that he'd like to present.
Well, we'd look forward to that. Permission granted.
And Frank, is that right down here?
Next one.
Top. All right. Okay. Chair, members of the board, Chris Halskov, Zoning Enforcement Officer. I just wanted to come before you today to give you a quick summary of a recent recap we gave to the mayor and council, and I promise I'll be done in 5 minutes to preserve your time here. I also wanted to take this opportunity. I have brought our staff with today, some maybe familiar faces and names, maybe not, but I wanted to do a quick introduction for those folks, for you guys, to share their contact info.
Some of us have their contact info already.
Yes, yes. I will scroll down here quickly to, there it is, to the zoning area. And this was something mayor and council asked all departments to present, and so we were lucky enough to finish up our presentation a couple weeks ago from the zoning side of things. It's just a summary. This is kind of a lead up to some training we're going to provide the board that we did. You're all familiar with what we did last year. It'll be coming in the first few months of 2026, and this might actually save us just a little bit of time, although I want Julian and the other members that aren't here to be able to take part in that training as well. You see some of our improving our neighborhoods. There's ours. So first off, with our some introductions here, we are divided into 2 corridor inspectors in the city of Des Moines, and Jimmy Tiernan is our south side. Jimmy, would you raise your hand, please? There's Jimmy. He's our south side corridor inspector. This is something we put into place, I think, under Eric and the new code. And then Jill Gregoire is our north side inspector. So we also have in Territory 2, Ian Donovan. He's been with the department probably the longest. Ian, would you raise your hand? Thank you. And number 3 is Giovanni Corvera. He is one of our territory inspectors on the northwest side of town. And then southeast is, Giovanni, you want to raise your hand? Thanks. And Jesse Torres is on the south side of town. And then we have James Laughlin, and James Laughlin is critical to kind of our mission that we're trying to accomplish. He handles all of our permitting, that's signs and fences and reviews of sound permits and multiple other duties for us, and primarily inside, although he has been in the field before as well. James, thank you. So sign contractors in the room, that's the gentleman they get to interact with every day and does a great job. So our last person kind of runs the whole show, and that's Amanda Brewer. She is our research associate in the department. She keeps me in line when things go off the rails. So just some opening remarks here. Again, for the sake of time, I'll abridge this just a little bit. Some of the overview of duties that we do and handle in the different ordinances. We handle a multitude, not just things that may come before you, as the Zoning Board of Adjustment, but maybe sound or building code issues. And if anyone has any questions on those, again, not really intended to be a training today, just an overview and what we presented to council. We can get you this entire report, or it's online if you'd like. But lots of our duties. This one I wanted to focus on before I close here real quick. This is a summary of things we have accomplished in the department in the zoning enforcement area over the last, September of 24 to September of 25, and some of our orders. But if you would pay specific attention to this one right here, that is properties that have been abated by court order. That's something that has to go through from enforcement and notification, maybe past relief, past the board or not. And then those are properties that are actually cleaned by our city staff and a police officer in assistance. If you compare ours with, say, our neighborhood inspections, they do between 500 and 700 properties a year. We're at 70, but our process is much different. They have an administrative law process, and we go through all of these, require our amazing legal partners to shepherd those through the process. We get the order. We turn it over to our crew, and they go out and abate. So we are a legal document preparation department as well. We do address assignments. We do zoning letters. We'll even do zoning determinations, which occasionally end up back here, both formal and informal. And then, kind of to finish up, these are some of the other licensing and permit requirements that we take a look at. So with that, I don't want to take a bunch of your time. There's much more to the slide presentation, but I would take any questions, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank the board and our legal counsel for all their hard work.
Board members, do you have any questions or comments for Chris? Well, Chris, I would like to say, yes, awesome. In all my many years on this board, I don't think we've ever had a presentation like this, even though you made this super short and sweet. But to bring your staff down, I know from my own perspective, just as a citizen, some of my roles I've had in some neighborhood stuff, they're a great resource. A lot of citizens believe they just have to call a council person to get something done. Start with your city staff. They're a great resource. Your whole team is.
Yeah.
So I can't thank all of you enough for your hard work. I know it's not easy, but the results make our city better.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks again to the board, and a big thank you to our staff. They really do the hard work here, just like Frank and Bert do in the planning area.
Yes.
They're important. So
Yes, thanks for a great presentation.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to see 485 signs were taken out of our right-of-way.
We're documenting everyone. Yeah.
Marvelous.
I just have a quick thing, too.
Yes.
The neighborhood associations, thank you for coming to our meetings.
Yeah, we're always happy to come and do that. If any of you interact with neighborhood groups, we'll come and I can present, or one of the staff can come with me and we can present, or if there's a particular issue that you're interested in and we have enforcement going on, we'll come out and share what we can.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks again, Chris. Okay, Frank, we have any other business besides our minutes? Okay, then, board members who were here last month, if you've reviewed the minutes, are there any changes or edits? If none, would there be a motion for approval? Motion by Heather. Second by Rhonda. All those in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right, thank you very much, and this hearing is
Mel,
adjourned.
I have one more.
That's fine.
Just want to note that we will be moving sometime in 2026, so keep that at the back of your mind as we have more details later.
Like we'll meet downtown maybe in a fancy new renovated place,
That's right.
as if this isn't cool enough.
Exactly.
Okay. That's good to know. And speaking of meetings and places, next month will also be the third Wednesday due to Christmas holiday, so just keep that in mind. All right, thanks again, Frank. This hearing is adjourned.